Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you some more top pro gamer games here in StarCraft 1. This particular game is from the #1 ranked ladder Zerg. I wanted to kind of finish that off. You know, I did the #1 ranked ladder Terran, who was Barracks. I did the #1 ranked ladder Protoss, which is Sins. And this is the #1 ranked ladder Zerg, which is ZeLoT. This is a guy that has been in ASL multiple times. Probably the most aggressive Zerg player out there, really. Maybe 815 is slightly more aggressive, but he's actually more of like a cheesy aggressive, whereas this is like just pure aggression all the time. I mean, some cheese mixed in. It's a thin line between the two, of course. But anyways, ZeLoT right now with a score of 67 wins and 15 losses is in second place overall on the ladder with 2,804 MMR. So pretty impressive stuff from him. He is going to be here in the top right. His opponent going to be a Protoss player here in the bottom left, a very well-known pro who's been in more ASLs than ZeLoT has, I do believe. It is Geumchi, a very well-known player from back in the Kespa era, still has a really high-level play. And honestly, I would imagine that this is going to be a good one, like a nice close game. It is cross spawns, as you see. It's going to be a Forge fast expansion here from Geumchi, who is trying to find where ZeLoT is out at, of course, being cross spawn. You know, Rush is not going to work out very well. Probably a good choice of builds on both sides since we don't see a quick pool or anything like that. So kind of while we wait here, and by the way, that's kind of almost a sneaky maneuver already to put his first hatchery here instead of into his natural. But anyways, while we kind of sit here and wait, you know, for this game to pick up a little bit, for these guys to figure out exactly what they're going to be going for, it's time for me to thank you guys for checking out ArtosisCasts. Hope that you are enjoying all of the games. I have some fun stuff that I'm planning right now coming up to give a little bit of diversity to some of these casts. I think you're going to like it. And yeah, thank you so much for subscribing and you know, hitting that like button, leaving a comment. All that stuff does help a whole hell of a lot. And of course, tell your friends about it. You know, let's get more people loving Brood War. Planning on keeping this channel going forever, so you know, hopefully we'll just always have some competitive Brood War being played. Now, let's take a look where we're getting to in this game. Third hatchery is going down by ZeLoT. There's his gas. Looks like a pretty macro-heavy opener for someone that I've already billed as like the most aggressive Zerg player out there. Certainly one of. Geumchi here. Yeah, getting into his gateway and then a photon cannon after his nexus. Everything looking pretty solid, pretty nice. Playing very safely there, getting that photon cannon as well. He even gets it pretty early. Are there lings? No, just a drone coming out of that hatchery down at the third base location. And, you know, Geumchi is just going to be trying to keep this probe alive to make sure that he knows if there is going to be some sort of cheese, you know, something like a 3 hatchery Hydra or a mass circling play coming out of ZeLoT. He definitely is capable of both. And in fact, in the probe's face, he throws down a Hydralisk Den. Shows you how much ZeLoT cares about you scouting him. This is an obvious 3-hatch Hydra build, but the thing about ZeLoT is he will open like this, you will know that it's coming, and he will either kill you or he'll do some sort of tricky maneuver where, you know, it's like, it looks like it's 3-hatch Hydra, you have to build cannons, and then he's just droning up, you know, something like that. We'll see exactly what it's going to be, but obviously right here, Geumchi is going to want to keep this probe alive to see, you know, does he start making Hydras? Of course, you don't make Hydras yet. You throw up the Hydralisk Den to start the speed upgrade while you continue to make drones, right? And if you want to do a proper 3-hatch Hydra all-in, there are a certain amount of drones that you want. Overall, it's 19 drones on minerals. You can see 9 here. Already over here, we have 6, so you're going to want to bring this up to 7 total. And over here, we'll probably just have 3, but hold on. Okay, so right now, we have the exact number of drones that you normally see the Hydra bust on. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that and see if that is going to remain the same. Or, oh no, it looks like he's even a drone up above that. But yeah, we don't know how heavily he'll commit into this. Now, Photon Cannon coming up. I kind of love this Dragoon, to be honest. He picks off that Overlord. That's actually pretty darn big. A supply block hits him, And that's going to be really, really annoying. That's going to slow down the rush quite a bit. The range upgrade gets started. Mass Hydras starting to be produced. And oh my god, I love this from Geumchi. Notice how he's not getting a Stargate. Instead, he's adding 3 gateways, and he's actually getting a Citadel. So there's 2 interesting ways that you can play right now against a 3-hatch Hydra opener, whether it is real or faked. One is to get that quick Zealot leg upgrade and just pump out a bunch of Zealots to fight. Another one that I mentioned just slightly yesterday, and maybe a couple other times I've mentioned, there's like this newer build where you just go ranged Dragoons. And I believe it is actually Sins who came up with that, the #1 ladder Protoss right now. And it's an interesting build. I've seen it used a few times, and it doesn't look like that's going to be what he's going for, but just wanted to put that out there. Now, this one Dragoon does try to come up and get another Overlord kill. Obviously, he wasn't going to get it, so it does start to run home. You want to save that Dragoon. Even if you're not getting the range upgrade yet, it'll still be useful. 4 cannons are up. Another one on the way. Oh, man. That'll be really sad, actually, if he ends up losing this this Forge. But decides to walk out and actually fight. Loses 1 Zealot, and the other one takes a lot of damage. The Dragoon takes a lot of damage. Is he going to be able to save this +1? He really, really badly wants it. I think he's just barely going to save the +1 attack. I think you have to move out with your Zealots one more time here. Okay, moves up to tank a little bit. Tank a little bit. Tank a little bit. It is absolutely worth like a Zealot or even 2 Zealots here to save that +1. And that's exactly what he does. So he ends up losing 4 Zealots total and health on a Dragoon. That's the overall price that he ended up paying to finish +1 as opposed to letting it die. Now that I'm not entirely sure of exactly how valuable that is. But yeah, anyways, he does get the +1, so he's going to be happy about that. Looking over at Zealot's base, look at this. Like, he made the hatchery in the face of Geumchi and just continues to macro out the Hydras. By the way, did add another hatchery as well, which is kind of interesting. Normally we see it just sitting on 3, but he's got that 4 hatchery now. And that's going to allow him to produce a little bit more. You can see a lot of Hydras coming out. He's going for that second gas, as gas is kind of the limiting factor at this point. ZeLoT has so many Hydralisks here. Now, I think, honestly, what you're supposed to do is just sit here as Geumchi and get out your Psystorm. You can see he is researching Psystorm. He is popping out some High Templars as well. Of course, the Overlord sees that, so he decides, you know what, let's go ahead and push in. The Zealots come up to fight. The Probe's coming out as well. That is a huge amount of Hydralisks. Oh, my God. He kills every single Zealot in a matter of seconds. He's killed off a ton of probes here as well. And in fact, not that many photon cannons left. The probe's still trying to fight. Oh my God, this is so incredibly close right now. And it seems as if Protoss is just barely going to end up holding on here. His Psystorm upgrade is about to finish. He's going to have 2 Psystorms, but if you don't have the cannons to back that up, you are going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, a DT slips out, but there is an Overlord here. The DT can still fight against lower numbers, though. Runs up and will start swiping on the right-hand side. He's kind of staying out of that Overlord vision right now, keeping this at home as opposed to running it out. Good choice, too, because there was an Overlord coming up. He would have been able to catch that. Oh, an excellent Psystorm goes down. I think ZeLoT's push has been held. Just barely, though. Just barely. And that being said, who is ahead here? Well, ZeLoT actually has more workers, 32 to 27. 27 is not good probe saturation. Dark Archon, by the way, coming up, the only reason he'd be getting this is for Maelstrom. So he might decide, okay, well, the DT's not going to do much, or maybe he's deciding, oh, this could be a Mutalisk switch later on. There's the Maelstrom upgrade starting here. And so that's the choice he's making. We can look over here and see that there is no Spire, but of course he can't tell that. He doesn't know. Right now we're on 5 hatchery Hydralisk production, +1 attack on the way, Overlord speed on the way, good amount of macro, a lot of Hydras just kind of sitting outside here. Now, the additional Dragoon will go up and try to push that Overlord out. Just does a little bit of damage. Doesn't have that range upgrade, so can't really attempt to finish him here. Comes up forward with one of these High Templars and actually does some decent damage to those Hydras, killing 2, badly damaging 2 more. And this is going to allow him to split out a few ZeLoTs here. Now, ZeLoT, I mean, he would not be number 1 on the ladder if he hadn't accounted for something like this, right? His third base, which is the closest, has now it's going to be 4 hatches, which is pretty wild. You don't see that every day. But you can see the layout here, right? He has Hydralisks that are kind of sitting in the middle that are hard to get. The eggs help block. It's single file paths, so the ZeLoTs can't really get in there right now. They are going to back up and look for somewhere else. But, you know, making your opponent leave some Hydras at home will make this area more breakable for Geumchi. Going up, checking the main and natural. Looks like Overlord's speed is done. Lurkers are on the way. It looks like he wants to get a containment up, so that's definitely something that our Protoss player has to think about. ZeLoT getting ready for a big containment. I got to tell you, he's done a really good job of transitioning from a rush that his opponent knew was coming into pretty much a macro contain. It's like a weird looking game, right? Like he's got more workers than his opponent. He's got lurkers up in front. In fact, he's getting the drop upgrade. No Spire, of course, at home, so not a huge amount of flexibility as far as his tech goes. There's a Dark Archon if there were mutas. Honestly, Geumchi would be hoping that he's switching into mutas because he did preemptively get that Dark Archon. We'll see if that actually comes into play. It is still useful against Hydras and Lurkers, just not as good against the stacked Mutalisks. So a lot more Hydras are coming out. You can see that supply is actually super close right now, which is always a good thing for Zerg. Lurkers being spread. Focusing on making sure that they are at least 1 Psystorm apart. You do not want Psystorms hitting more than 1 at a time. Geumchi right now getting that range upgrade. Excuse me. You know, getting into his armor upgrade. Lots of Dragoon production here as well. So it's going to be heavily ranged Dragoons with Observers, High Templars, and a Dark Archon mixed in for good measure. Honestly, this looks like an army that will be able to break out of here. I think he is going to be able to break out. So he starts to move forward. He has that Observer. Okay. He's seen the Dark Archon as well, so you'd want to be careful about getting stuff too close. Spreads those once again. The additional Lurkers are spread very nicely. You can see this spread of Hydras as well. He's trying to not clump them too much so that they're storm bait, but he does want to add in damage when this comes out, but also possibly snipe down the Observer. So the Observer sneaking forward. You have to be so careful with this Observer right now. 5 Dragoons at a time being macroed out. And that is a very strong first Maelstrom. Excellent, excellent move trying to break that. And he will kill off that Overlord as well. So that was a good first set of engagements. The Dark Archon dies, but I think it did do a good job there still. It would have been obviously much better if it had lived. But look at this. Some good storms coming out. In the meantime, this group of ZeLoTs is active once again. This is the rally path. So they're actually waiting for more units to rally down to help hold this containment, and they just aren't coming. So now he knows that he is safe in the... Oh, man. Up here we have a Lurker drop that hit in the main. And look at this. A secondary Lurker drop into the natural. Storms that one down pretty quickly, but he's down to 17 probes now. Oh, my God. The drop really paying off. Picks up the 12-kill Lurker, this 5-kill Lurker, running back. And this is about as bad news as it can be. Now, Geumchi actually does have a much bigger army right now and a higher quality army. He's got to make a move. You cannot macro back into this game. You absolutely must go across the map and try to punish your opponent. Now, more Hydras are coming down. Those intercepting ZeLoTs obviously are not large enough in number anymore to fight the incoming Hydralisks. Trying to check for more drops coming in. Doesn't look like he has any of those set up right now. These ZeLoTs are just going to run away. But Geumchi right now moving out. He's going to try to break through everything here. Oh, another drop. 2 more Lurkers come down, but it looks like they'll be dealt with pretty well. Only a couple go down. In the meantime, Geumchi killing this off a little bit. Oh, another drop into the main base. And there's not a lot of probes there, honestly, for it to kill. The probe count is just so low right now. But look at this, right? They're at very similar supplies, but he's down 30 workers. So that shows his army supply is much, much, much higher. This game, like, obviously it looks good for ZeLoT based on worker counts, but there's a lot of Psy Storms and a very big, scary army. So I think if he brings his army together, doesn't let these things get sniped. Oh, God, don't let him get sniped. Good Psy Storms go off. They kind of zone those Hydras out, kill some of them as well. He needs to hit these storms really well and very quickly as well. Does not want to lose any of his standing army at this point. So actually pretty much demolishes a lot of the Hydras that were coming up. Looks like he'll just let those ones die via the fire of the Dragoons. Still kind of trying to check what's going on economically here for Geumchi. Yeah, he's barely mining right now. He is making more probes, so trying to catch that back up. I think if Geumchi can kill this base in these 4 hatches, then the game just kind of can become his, right? I think that's what he's going to be looking to do. A big Psy Storm there on the left-hand side. Second Psy Storm goes down. And ooh, the flank here is pretty good. Like, the storms are doing well, but you can see the actual unit count going so low that it's really hard to take any of these fights. It's just so few units that anything popping out of the hatcheries should be able to kill it off. And it looks like that is what's going to end up happening here. Kind of an unfortunate game here for Geumchi, but ZeLoT showing that this is what it looks like to be #1 on the ladder for your race. Makes that 3-hatch Hydra build in Geumchi's face and is able to take him down despite it being held. Thanks for watching. GG.